Good morning and welcome to the More Laughing in the Morning show. I am your host, comedian Allison Moore. Today is Wednesday. On Wednesday, we talk about winning professionally. We need it. I need it. Do you need it? We need it. And all week we've been talking about overcoming loss. So, of course, it's fitting to talk about how to overcome job loss. Is that the name? That ain't the name. Hold it, wait. The name. There's a name here. The name is, what is the name of the show? Got to be more careful. It's Wednesday. Listen, grab your coffee. Go ahead and dance. Let's wake up. Get some of them boogers out your eyes. I just had to get a couple of extra ones that I left that I overlooked in the bathroom, and then I'm gonna figure out what the name of this title was. I just wrote it in. Just would have been too much like right to write it down. Welcome, welcome. But it's time to get. But it's time to get. But it's time to get up. Yeah, it's time to get moving. It's time to get up. Yeah, it's time to get moving. Hey, I'm up. Come on. And the only time I'm down is when I'm dancing. In my knees, hey. In my knees, hey. In my knees, hey. And the only time I'm down is when I dance. In my feet, hey. In my feet, hey. In my feet, hey. And the only time I'm down is when I'm dancing. In my back now. In my back now. In my back now. It's time to get up. Yeah. It's time to get moving. It's time to get up. Yeah. It's time to get moving. Hey. So come on, everybody, get up. Welcome back. I did it. Sound is on. The banner is here. How about I just keep going? You are watching the More Laughing in the Morning show. I am your host, comedian Allison Moore. The More Laughing in the Morning show is, drumroll please, your morning cup of lifestyle motivation and comedy. And I am, drumroll please, Virginia's comedian and your conference's coffee, a real motivational speaker out here in these streets. I am also the coolest cornball you will ever meet. And I am, this one is my personal favorite. Y'all, I'm everybody daggone hype girl. You hear me? I am your hype girl, your mama hype girl. I want to hype, you want to hype. I'm sorry. You didn't ask for all of that. But on today's show, I got to give it to you. I got to give you all of what I got because I'm passionate about this, y'all. We are talking overcoming loss all week this week. And today is no different. It's Wednesday. On Wednesday, we focus on winning professionally. And today's episode is job loss rebound. And if you know me, if you know it like I know, you don't want to. Oh, sorry. Whew, you did not ask for that one either. Sorry, my bad. If you know me, you know your girl. I lost my job. For real. I mean, I lost quite a few jobs, but my most recent job that I lost 5 years ago, I got my butt fired. Which also was not the first time okay, that ain't what you asked. I have myself had to go through a major life transition, losing a job, getting fired from a job, and then going into entrepreneurship. But that was a really hard, challenging transition to make, so I get it. And on today's show, we're talking about how to recover. Right now, during COVID-19, the unemployment rate is at an all-time high, ain't it? It's a whole lot of us ain't got no job. You ain't got no job, Craig. Sorry. Whew. There's a lot of us who are unemployed, and some of the challenges that come along with that, of course, aside from no money, is how do you re-enter into the job market, and especially now where the job market is extremely robust because there are more people that need a job than there are jobs available. So the competition is crazy. That makes our confidence, that makes our surety in ourselves, and things be a little more, a little lower. So in today's episode, I'm excited about having HR professional Roslyn Gervin talk with us during our This Time Next Year segment about how we can overcome that, how we can get past the fact that we got fired, got laid off, reduction in force, whatever, and how can we continue to thrive. But before we do that, let's get into this coffee and coronacation. Can we? Shall we? I think we shall. Coffee and Coronacation is the part in our show, or the segment in our show, where we look at current event, trending news over coffee. I don't know what this was, but it was fun. I'd be like 5, 6, 7 over coffee. Sorry. Anyway, so do me a favor if you will. I know we just finished dancing, but can you go ahead and share this with your mama and them? Hit the share button, do some hearts. Tell us that you're here. Drop a comment. Say good morning. Let us know that we're not alone. I am not alone. Lord Jesus, I'm on one today. I got a whole karaoke box. Didn't you see I got some new songs in rotation? Okay. All right. So let's talk. Coffee and Coronacation. What we got first? Coming up, Black Lives Matter protest or phonies. Boom. Let me get my little notes, because y'all know I be talking you to death, right? It's my teleprompter. Yeah, I be talking you to death. I know I be talking you to death, but thanks for listening. I'm trying. All right, here's the thing. We've been talking because I become a whole woke black woman out here in these streets. You see me? Y'all proud? Am I representing? Okay, sorry. Sorry, that was okay, whatever. Anyway, so we're continuing the conversation about race relations. Yeah, there's a lot going on out here in these streets, and I appreciate those of you who have been contributing to this conversation here on the More Laughing in the Morning show. Those who have been reaching out to me, letting me know that you're learning and that you're growing. I appreciate that, because this is an uncomfortable time for everybody. But for those of us who got an end goal in mind, those of us who want to see some change, we are willing to put ourselves out here, take risk, be uncomfortable to end racism and its poison, right? And so the whole part about being on the anti-racism team is you're going to have to take risks. You're going to have to be uncomfortable. I was talking to a friend of mine who works in a position where she is highly influential to the influential white folk. And I'm like, you're going to have to go ahead and make them feel a little bit uncomfortable. And black people, that's what we got to start doing. It is our responsibility to let our white friends around us know that we're not okay with this. We are uncomfortable. Friends, co-workers, employers, especially those of us who have been well-behaved and in these positions where we are the token black people. This is the time when you got to speak up. What is the purpose of you being well-behaved if you can't even tell them during this hour, hey, Jack, my feelings is hurt, and I don't see no emails going out here to address at least the black employees and or clients that you are on the side of anti-racism. Like, that's our job. Those of us who have that level of influence, it is our job to let them know, because unfortunately, people don't like conflict. Whether it's white, black, green, purple, whatever, we don't like conflict, right? And at all costs, people will try to turn their head to avoid conflict, to avoid pain, to avoid embarrassment, especially if they feel like that their actions some kind of way are attached to it. If they can be pulled into the you are the problem, we don't want to be the problem. So it's weird, it's uncomfortable, but we can't ignore it any longer. So what I encourage my black friends to do that have white people that are they're influential to is encourage them to reach out. If they're in leadership positions, let them know you're going to have to say something. At a minimum, let all your white friends know I'm hurt by this, because our white friends are looking to us at how Allison feel. If Allison is quiet, then they're thinking, well, Allison cool with it. I mean, she must don't see it. If they already don't see something, then they're really not going to be pushed or motivated or moved to try to make a difference or to try to go back to their families and let them know, hey guys, we got to think a little bit differently. Because we, as their black friend or the person that they're looking to into the community, aren't letting them know that we're hurt, aren't letting them know that we're angry, aren't letting them know that we're frustrated. All right, so that's my black friend. So y'all got that? Go and call your white friend and tell them, by the way, I don't see you out here in these streets. This could have been me. This could have been me. Thank you. Whew. I dug deep for that one. All right, now let's talk to my white friends. I got quite a few. Shout out to you, white friends. Who is that just called my phone, y'all? Somebody just called my phone. The devil. Called my phone. Right now during the show. That's disrespectful. This how they know they disrespecting us, y'all. They disrespected all my life out here to fight. White people, come on back. I ain't forget. Listen, to all my white friends, shout out to you for hanging in there. I know we had some uncomfortable moments here on this show, but I appreciate you for sticking in here and choosing this as one of the platforms in which you learn and you grow. As you know, growth brings pain, right? Growing pains, it gets uncomfortable, it hurts, but if you want some real change, lean into it. Now, a couple of things that as we're learning and we're maneuvering through this, and me myself, I'm not an expert. I'm becoming much more educated and awakened, but I'm not an expert, so we're figuring this out together. And it's okay for you to not be perfect either, but you're gonna have to take a breath. It's gonna sting sometimes. Be mature. Recognize that there's no level or degree of discomfort that you can feel that will ever be worse than what we feel. So not that should be encouraging, but just remind yourself, like, okay, I'm not the only one out here that's hurting. I'm not the only one out here that feels weird. I'm not the only one out here that's afraid to make a mistake. I'm not the only one out here that's uncomfortable. My black friends, these people that I'm trying to be allies with, have been living this for years. And so 10 minutes of nerves I can get past. All right, so boom. So a couple of things that you can do. First of all, you're going to have to take back the obsession that I'm seeing you all highlight or glorify or romanticize about the peacefulness of a protest. From me, yes, I do hope that all protests are these picture perfect, peaceful, prim and proper, see nobody's doing anything wrong type of protest. I get it. But you using the fact that it's peaceful to determine or to appear to determine to be the way in which you approve it is a deeper insult. You don't get to tell anybody how they respond to abuse. What you do is eliminate the abuse. So when you tell me, I didn't even punch you in the face that hard. Like, why are you still cussing about it? If you hurt me, you don't get to dictate how I handle the pain. You don't get to dictate how I heal. You don't get to dictate how I process through what I've endured and experienced. You just need to acknowledge that I have been in a traumatic situation and you need to pray, or you need to encourage, or you need to go back to the people who invoked the pain or the trauma and say, we can't do this anymore. Like, that's your responsibility is over there. Too many of you all I'm seeing like, well, it's peaceful. And as long as we're like, stop, chill. You're doing too much, okay? And I know you're just trying to be right. I agree with the peaceful, but shut up. We get it, okay? Okay. Second thing, and look at my teleprompter. See, that's what's my problem. Hold it. Because these lights bright. What did I say this was? What we talking about? Black Lives Matter, protests, and phony. White friends, I need you to extinguish the noise of black people are rioters and looters. You need to come on the side that's like, hey guys, I've seen a couple of videos where I'm watching white people sabotage the event. I'm watching people that are not attached to the Black Lives Movement sabotage the protest. I need you to say that more than you're allowing the narrative of, see, this is why they need this police, and this is why they need I saw a bomb. Some of everything people are coming out here to these protests with, just because they're saying that they're going violent, or that these protesters have negative intentions. You're going to have to get on the side and amplify the voice of, no, I think that something is suspicious. Look at what I saw. I don't think that this is right. And then also, too, you're going to have to wake up and be honest. You saw and you see for yourself. You've seen black people talk. Frustrated, angry, yell. So what? We got a message. You've seen white people talk. Frustrated, angry, yell. Yo people or white people have been protesting about the COVID-19, about the stay-at-home orders, about all they had guns, they had the whole nine. And then you saw what happened when black people protested. And you saw the response that we got, which was so very different. And you can't say it's because there were looters and rioters, because you've also seen people sabotage the black side of moments and protests, to where even when there weren't looters, even when there weren't rioters, there was not the same response to our initiatives as it was to others. Even when, like in Virginia, especially those of you in Virginia, I think it was, what was that, Charlottesville? I'm asking y'all like, yeah, y'all here. I believe you here. Shake your head at me at the phone. And tell me if you really shake your head at me in the comments. I'm going to read it. Even in Charlottesville, I mean, when they protested some of the protest, when it was a protest to the protest, white people protested, the black people protested, and then they ran over people with cars. Someone was murdered. I mean, come on now. Again, the response there. So now you have, it wasn't a looting of the building, but we had a loss of a life in a protest. And still the response was, these are good, fine, wonderful people. And ours, with no loss of life, is not that. It's thugs and criminals. You see this. So these are the things that you're going to have to start communicating. You're going to have to cut the noise and the conversations in your circles, because I'm not in your circle. You can't bring your black friend and say, tell them what Jay said, because they're not listening to us, but they will listen to you. And obviously you were the person to do it, because you listening to me. So don't even be like, am I the one? Yeah, you the one, because it's only about 17 of y'all. Don't play with me. Anyway, all right, so listen to this. Even here in Hampton, Virginia, we had a fake, phony protest situation that was organized and not organized last night. Those things are really happening. So black people, white people, to all of our Asian, Latino, French, Saudi Arabia. Okay, I gotta get out more. I realize I gotta get out more, and this is I'm disgusted by my lack of being able to list. It's more than just white people and black people. I get it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna take some time off and I'm gonna read. Okay, focus. As you can see, there have been some significant efforts gone towards trying to create this image, this narrative that black people are protesting negatively. You have to be wise. Black people, people who are allies of black people, people who are involved, you're going to have to do a really good job of getting ahead and communicating the real information. Any ways that you see that we can authenticate, okay, is this a real protest or is this a plant? Please do so. Call someone that you know, send them an inbox and say, hey, I heard that you were going out there, but I don't think that's the real one. Here's how we can see if these are the organized ones or the ones that you want to be a part of. Because we don't want to put more more twigs and wood and feed the fire of this foolishness that's already being planted. It reminds me of the, hold on, I wrote it down so I don't say this wrong. Because I've been studying, right? I've been studying y'all for real. Counterintelligence program. Matter of fact, that's our homework. Look up the counterintelligence program if you don't already know about it. And this was an FBI organized initiative that sabotaged Malcolm X and all that they had going on by the FBI. So the FBI formed or organized this group to go in. That's how they were tapping. Back in the day, they were tapping phones and doing all kinds of stuff to try to paint the narrative that the Black Panthers and all of them were out just violent people out to shoot. They never shared how effective and impactful Black Panthers were in our own communities. Black Panthers were feeding the kids that didn't have any food and doing so many things. They were there with their guns and with their weapons as defense, not as offense, because they knew that white cops and white people were coming into our communities and harming us, killing us, beating us, abusing us. So the Black Panthers stood up for that. But to disband that, there was a whole initiative authorized by the FBI that came in and did that. You can't be so blind and naive to think that's not still happening. Those things are still happening. And so we have to do our part to make sure that that's exposed so that we can move closer and closer towards justice. Listen, justice is coming though. Little small things are happening. ATL officers fired for excessive force. So that's a win. That's a little win. Apparently there were, so Atlanta has a 9:00 curfew and 2 Black people were driving home. It was 9:13. Cops took them out of their car, drug them out their car, used excessive force. It was disgusting. They weren't even a part of the protest. I read somewhere that somebody was coming from work or picking somebody else up for work, but that part is irrelevant. They weren't even a part of the protest. It was 9:13. Come on, guys, let's not be. And the police just totally disregarded them, just treat them like rag dolls, and they were fired immediately. So shout out to Atlanta for setting the message and the bar and the standard. Like, yo, we're not doing this. This is not what we're doing. So I appreciate communities that have leadership that's saying enough is enough. And this is how we let everybody know. It's like we talked about earlier this week and last week. If we make racism as disgusting as smoking cigarettes, then we're going to see a shift. But it requires all of us to be like, oh, that stink. Oh my God, why would you pay for that? And people gonna still do it. And that's fine. But we can't make it like it's okay. You don't want this secondhand smoke of racism. All the positive news, things going on out here in these streets. Money Mayweather, okay, is coming through, and United Health Group, they show up. So Floyd Mayweather, legendary boxer, he has put down, I think I saw him, $88,500. He's taking care of the cost of the funeral for Mr. George Floyd. So that's just tremendous. Again, it's so disgusting that Mr. George Floyd had his life ripped from him. He was murdered. But I'm really glad to see that people are making sure that his death was not in vain. And so that's really dope. So shout out to Floyd Mayweather for doing that. United Health, they're coming through too, donating mega. So I read that United Health Group, they've committed to making sure that George Floyd's children have their college paid for or some kind of equivalent achievement. They're going to finance that, as well as they're giving millions to small businesses, minority-owned businesses that have been impacted by looters, been impacted or lost their businesses as well. So they're getting out here, putting their hands to the plow. So shout out to them. Last one, our Coffee and Coronacations. Union warns USPS needs bailout. Hold it. Teleprompter. That's what my mama used to do. So the union has let us know that the USPS is losing $2 billion a month. United States Postal Service is losing $2 billion a month. This COVID-19 situation is impacting everybody in every kind of way. That's major. How, you say? Because I have a friend, and they were like, they saw where people like, well, I can get my checks in the mail or deposit. I can get my check direct deposit. Well, packages and residential mailings, obviously, they make money off of that. But the real money, not real money, it's all real money. But the majority of the money comes to the USPS by business mailings. But with all of these businesses closed, there's not a lot of mailings going on. So they're losing $2 billion a month from their business mailings. So that's crazy if you think about that. But as a result, they've asked the Congress. I don't even mean to laugh. I'm sorry, y'all. It's your job, my bad. They've asked Congress for $75 billion, and so we're going to wait and see. But I hope they get their bailout. Listen, we got more than enough money. We got to figure this out. All right, look. So overcoming loss, winning professionally Wednesday, job loss, rebound. Can we get into this before we go? Our This Time Next Year segment is where we look at where we want to be in our lives this time next year. And those of us on the MooreLaughing in the Morning Show have been committed to taking one little chunk towards our goals for just next year. Obviously, we see this. You better plan it. You better write it down. We are goal setters and goal getters because, look, we're crazy out here in these streets. And then so on Mondays, we look at money. Tuesday, total health. Wednesday, professional growth and development. And Thursday, the real on relationships. Today's Wednesday. We're looking at professionalism and winning professionally. And I'm like, yo, we got to bring in the queen. So for today's This Time Next Year segment, I'm so excited about our guest. I'm so excited. So coming to the stage is Roslyn Gervin. So those of you in the beginning of our season, I like that, the beginning of our MooreLaughing in the Morning Show season, we had Roslyn Gervin. Roslyn came and she interviewed and gave us some professional development tips, but we asked her to come back because we're talking about overcoming loss. And because she is a human resources professional and in a recruiting field, she understands what things you should and shouldn't do and is able to give us some tips for those people who are re-entering the job market after losing their job, getting fired or laid off or whatever. how many other ways could you, or quitting is in there too. Quitting is in there too. Roslyn, not only is she a human resources professional by day, she is a brand photographer by afternoon, and a More Laughing in the Morning show producer by evening. Roslyn is a woman of many hats excellently, so I thought she need to come let us know what to do, because it's hard out here in these streets. So ladies and gentlemen, please come to the stage. Coming to my closet. Oh, dang, I forgot to think about that from yesterday. I'm interviewing my guest in the closet, which, by the way, Roslyn has also shut that down. So if y'all see, after tomorrow, I'm not going to have any more interviews in my closet because Roslyn said I look ghetto. But bring Roslyn on up into this interview, and then we'll be right back to close out for the show.
The queen is here. The queen is here. Yay! Not just any queen, the queen. Roslyn is in the Zoom ding. Okay, sorry. I had a whole choreography. I'm like, and 5, 6, 7, and 1. 8. Yes. Okay, so I really want to talk with you about, what do we say to people who have overcome or who are journeying through overcoming losing their job? Like, I remember myself personally, I got fired from my job. And so being on the fired end, when you're ready to start applying for a new job, it's like, ooh, what do I say? Because you don't want to not be invited to an interview, but you don't want to lie, but you don't want to whatever. So, oh my gosh, can you help us? Like, so what do organizations for real think about when they see an application and somebody said that they got fired?
So the biggest thing is history. If there is a repeated pattern of somebody showing termination, or one thing that kind of strikes us a little bit is because people get creative for the reason why they've left, and I don't blame them. So they won't necessarily say termination, but they'll say disagreement with management philosophy. So we see that a lot. But if you had a disagreement with management philosophy for the past 6 jobs, then we're probably going to say it may be you. But if you have a pattern of a strong career history and then this termination pops up, then it's not necessarily an exclusion. It isn't, because we recognize that there are a lot of different details to the backstory. So it doesn't necessarily exclude you for an interview simply stating that you were terminated. Because you're right, the worst thing that you can do is not be honest. So to be honest, because if you're not honest, that will exclude you hands down.
So what do I say when the interview panel begins to ask questions? All right, so talk to me about this disagreement with philosophy, or why you feel like you were one of the ones that were laid off. Like, what do I say that is telling the truth, but not too much?
So a couple of red flags for us. The job interview really should be centered around what are your skills and abilities as they relate to the position. So if the interview is focusing a lot on why you were terminated, that to you might be a red flag that this may not be a place that I even want to work. Side note, if the interviewer asks, I noticed that you put the reason you left for your last employment was an issue with management, be honest about that. Most reasonable interviewers understand that people are not cookie cutters. And if you were placed, let's say for instance, you were placed in a ethical dilemma and you opted to stick to your morals, which ultimately meant being terminated, that separately is going to speak more volume to the fact that you were terminated. And to an interviewer, that's going to say, this person has character, this person was willing to set aside all of the things that they could lose for the sake of sticking with their morals. And that's somebody who I want to be a part of my organization.
So in my case, I know that when I lost my job, it was absolutely as a result of I was not at the maturation process for the position. Like I didn't have the maturity to have this leadership role. I interviewed well, I had time in the field, but not at that level. So now if I were to go back into, that was 5 years ago, and I've developed a whole lot of those skill sets that if I would have had them then, I would have been absolutely soaring. So now for me, if I wanted to re-enter into the job market, what would you say to me if I was overcome with maybe embarrassment or fear? Like, well, should I even be applying up here, or should I go down here and start to work myself back up?
I think you should apply where you think your skill set best matches. So over the course of 5 years, we would hope that your skill set has gone from level to level to level. So I think it's a great opportunity to tell your story in the interview and to say, 5 years ago, I thought I knew what the job entailed. I thought I knew what I was walking into, but recognizing that my skill set just yet had not been developed for the role. So while that position was not a good fit for either for me or the organization, I took this 5 years to develop in those areas that were revealed as weaknesses to me. One of the things that you can almost rest assured you're going to get asked in an interview is, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And people are never honest about their weaknesses. 90% of the time we hear, my weakness is that
is also my strength.
Also my strength. I'm a hard worker and I'm this and I'm that. And we're like, you can almost, say what they're going to say. But to hear some real honesty, to go, you know what, I jumped in way over my head and I realized it, but now I have really taken an opportunity and do this, not just say it, to really understand this role, which means you've looked at the job description, you've asked questions, you've done homework before the interview to display to the interviewer, I know what I'm walking into this time. I may not have taken those steps 5 years ago, but here is how I have leveled up. And I'm more than ready now to walk into this role.
I know that we have some people in the MooreLaughing in the Morning show family that are currently without employment right now. And that thing wears on your confidence. It wears on your self-esteem. It was really hard for you. And to just try to get yourself like, I think I can to get ready to jump back out there. It's just challenges. So any last words that we can say to our MooreLaughing in the Morning show family that might be finding themselves in that space of trying to talk themselves into getting back into the job field?
I would say that someone who has lost a job and is feeling embarrassed or feeling those self-loathing feelings, that you are probably putting more thought into it than the employer. 9 times out of 10, if you are applying for a position and that employer can see that you've had a long history and they know what situation we're in right now with people, businesses not able to sustain, that speaks for itself. It really does. And it's going to be expected for the next couple of months. We're already preparing for it, that for what was once a very dry employee market, people weren't applying for things, that's completely flipped upside down. So we're expecting and welcoming people who have been laid off from other positions, but there are other people in positions that are still actively recruiting, and they're expecting that those people will have been laid off from positions. And will they ask, why were you laid off and not this other person? Maybe you were the highest paid of this position and they needed to figure out where to cut the most from to have the most impact. So it was either you at this high level or 3 at a lower level. Those are some kind of the decisions that are made. So it's not necessarily a negative reflection on you if you were the one who was cut. People who understand the nature of business are willing to look at that, particularly if you show an already very steady, loyal history of employment and you're not just hopping from job to job or being terminated from job to job. That speaks differently than somebody who I could see you worked your way up in the organization and more than likely you were cut because financially it was you or some other folks, or maybe we had gotten too high for management level. We gotten too top heavy. We see that a lot too.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm like, we're at this overcoming loss stage and this is real. Some people and they need encouragement or tips or resources for how to overcome losing a job and how we get back out there because people got to work. So thank you for sharing your expertise in human resources. Thank you for producing the This Time Next Year segment. Thank you for taking brand photography of the whole. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being my therapist before this interview started. What else? Thank you.
All the things. That's, you know what? Let's end on that. You got to be versatile, right? What you were laid off from could have been this biggest blessing in disguise. Don't be afraid to tap into those other talents. Maybe your next position isn't in the field that you've always been in. Maybe this is the release you needed to try something new, to take this time to explore some things that you felt scared to do. use this as an opportunity to explore all of that. So use all your gifts. So all the things you described, I use all the gifts. I don't want to give anything back at the end of the day. I don't want to give anything back. I want to use them all.
That's excellent. I'm so glad that you were doing that. All right, thanks, Boo. I appreciate you. Poodles.
Welcome back, and thank you, Roslyn. Thank you, girl. Thank you, Queen. Thank you for hanging out with us and sharing some of that. I mean, she just really, that breakdown. I'm like, you know what? It's time to lean into it and be versatile and not be secretive about all of these other talents and things that we have, and being honest about, hey, before, little philosophy difference with myself and management, but I'm here now. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna use that. I gotta go back and get me a job. I'm gonna use that. All right, so before we go, I got a special announcement. Black man, we love you. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we have Black Please hoodies and t-shirts available online. The website should be working. Make sure you put the coffee at the bottom of it. Don't you get stuck on the blackplease.com. You know, that's a porn site, and I did not authorize you to go there. Well, I don't care what you do. You grown. But just make sure you find your way back to coffee parts. We got coffee coming soon. I'm really excited about your support. And those who are asking about that, thank you very much. Appreciate you. So that's today's show. Listen, we are overcoming loss all week. Keep your head up. Ooh, child. Things are go. Sorry. Woo-wee, girl. Listen, you may be overcoming the loss. What we talk about, money, credit, maybe even your reputation. That's something. That's something. Your job, health. It is not the end of the world. This represents the season. It's a season. Let's learn from it. Let's move on. Find the good things about it. Let that be your carrot that's dangling. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. You got this. I got this. We got this. On tomorrow's show, we will be talking with a grief counselor and overcoming loss that impacts us by losing a loved one. Oh, y'all, want to tell you she had a sister broke down in the closet because, you know, I'm still grieving my mama. Dear mama, lady. Let me get up off of here. I love y'all, people. Thank you for tuning in. Black people, keep your head up. White people, hey, y'all. Hey, all my other friends, my Latin friends, we appreciate y'all, brown brothers and sisters. Y'all out here, too. My Asian friends, thank you very much. It's all lives matter when Black lives matter, and we thank you for those who are realizing that. And somebody need to write a letter to Colin Kaepernick and apologize to him. Okay, I'm gone. Bye, y'all.
But it's time to get, it's time to get up. Yeah. It's time to get moving. It's time to get up. Yeah. It's time to get moving. Hey. I'm up. I'm up. Come on. I'm up. Come on.
Calm down is when I dance in.
In the shoulders, in the shoulders, in the shoulders. In the shoulders, in the shoulders, in the shoulders. In the shoulders, in the shoulders, in the shoulders. And the only time I'm down is when I'm dancing. In my knees, in my knees, in my knees, ayy. In my knees, in my knees, in my knees, ayy. In my knees, in my knees, in my knees, ayy.
And the only time I'm down is when I dance in.